The wife of a Russian conscript and a participant in a Way Home movement, Mariya Andreyeva, says the military authorities began to take an active interest in the soldiers whose wives were demanding that they be allowed to go home. They threatened that the conditions of service for their relatives will be made unbearable.
The Military Registration and Enlistment Office asked for a character reference from the battalion commander, and then some general was interested in him. The battalion commander tells my husband, "Your wife should finish with all this. Like this won't end well." He hints that they will send my husband to the front line. If such an order comes from above, the battalion commander will not be able to do anything. Mariya Andreyeva, participant of the Away Home movement, in an interview with the publication We Can Explain.
According to Mariya, at least 3 women, the wives of Russian conscripts, have already faced a similar problem. Gladkova's husband received several wounds at the front line. After a week of treatment in a hospital in Russian-occupied territory of Ukraine, they wanted to discharge him and send back to the front.
He has a herniated disc, thoracic deformity and a knee injury. It was with the difficulty that he got a referral for an MRI. It showed a meniscus tear. Now he's waiting for their decision, but they already said they would not send him to Russia for the operation. All the hospitals there are full. There are no places. So far, they have only anointed the knee with ointment. Mariya Andreyeva, participant of the Away Home movement, in an interview with the publication We Can Explain.
In the Kaluga region, the wife of a conscript man asked a question about the rotation of military personnel during a live broadcast with the head of one of the districts of the region. However, instead of answering, her comment was deleted and she was blocked on the VKontakte social networking platform.
Together with the relatives of mobilized citizens, we collected more than 1,000 signatures for an appeal to the governor of the Kaluga region. Consideration of the appeal was postponed for 30 days. Meanwhile, our men have been serving in military service for the 15th month. Diana Bondareva, wife of a conscript, quoted by Novaya Gazeta Europe publication.
The wives of those mobilized began to receive threats that their husbands would be sent to the front line. And this is not surprising, experts say. After all, they had already been prohibited from holding any kind of protest. After attempts to create these rallies, a meeting was convened in the Kremlin with all the governors, where instructions were clearly given to nip all these protests in the bud. However, the security forces do not open administrative or criminal cases against the wives of conscripts. This is simply not beneficial for Putin during the election campaign, opposition politicians say. To start fining or imprisoning these wives en masse is extremely unprofitable for the Kremlin because it will look very bad even to its nuclear audience. Although lately the Kremlin doesn't care about it more and more, but they still try to cozy up to it. Let us remind you that it became known earlier that the wives of those mobilized Russians write about their problems en masse on websites where questions are collected for a direct line with Putin. It is scheduled for December 14th. Reported by Pavlo Shtelmach, Yulia Granovska, UATV News.